Hi everyone. So you want to self-level like a pro? Okay, I'll show you how. So this is the area I'm doing, and I'm going to go over a ceramic tile. I've spoken with Mapei and they said yes, I can do it, no problem, if I use the Eco Prim primer. Anyway, the first thing to do is remove all the furniture, sweep and wash the floors. I wash to get rid of any contaminants and it will give a better bond. This is also the time to address any dodgy tiles. If there's any loose or broken, fix them. So I'm going to use Eco Prim. It's a primer that you can roll on or brush on. Rolls on super easy, and when it dries leaves a sort of gritty, sandy feel. Today's temp is 70-ish and there's no humidity, so it should dry in about an hour or less. One tip: make sure you stir this and don't skimp on the primer. The guidelines on the primer are that it spreads between 125 and 250 square foot. And it takes around an hour to dry depending on the heat and humidity. The cost of a gallon is around about $43. You can get that from like Lowe's or Floor & Decor or Amazon. Whatever you think of any... Okay, this is super important. Whatever you think, or if anyone tells you you must use a primer, I can't stress that enough. I've seen so many floors fail because people were being either cheap or they were told they don't need one. You definitely need a primer. Anyway, a little bit about me. I've been in the flooring trade for 20 years. I've got many certificates and qualifications, but for this type of floor, I am actually Eco certified, which means that if I do your floor and mess it up, it will be either me or Eco that would replace it, because I was taught their way and followed their guidelines to the T. It's been about an hour, floor's dry, it's completely grey. You can see the texture in the primer. It's like a rough feel. You can walk on it straight away. Make sure that when you do this, you get between where all the grout lines were as well. And now I'm ready to put down my self-leveling. Before I start doing the self-leveling, these are the tools that you're gonna need. A drill with a whisk, bucket or a barrel. I use this barrel. It can mix 2 to 3 bags of self-leveling at a time. A trowel, and I have a spiked roller. Why do you need a roller? You need the roller because it gets rid of the trapped air bubbles, and by rolling it also gets rid of the trowel marks. These are the tools that you need. You must have a roller. The product I'm using is Mapei's Ultra Plan 1 Plus. It's very easy to use and it's walkable in 4 hours. A quick look at what I've done so far. It flows well and it looks like glass. Just quickly want to show you the doorways. If you're finishing at a doorway, get some foam window weather stripping to dam up the doorways, or the self-leveler will flow down and that's not what you want. I usually mix self-leveler outside, but carrying it in is just too heavy. So that's why I have my beautiful assistant holding the vacuum. So mixing, use 5 3/4 to 6 quarts of clean cold water. I would advise 6 quarts to a 50-pound bag, and you would still need to work fast. The temperature needs to be between 50 and 85 degrees. Obviously, the hotter the temp, the quicker it goes off. You can apply as little as 1/16 to 1.5 inches, depending on your floor. My tiles are pretty good, and I pour around about 1/4 inch, which is 6 mil, regardless. Flow time is 15 minutes. That's the time you have to work with it before it starts to set up. Again, work fast and get help if you need it. Again, it takes 3 hours to be walkable. I know I said 4, but you want to leave this as long as you can. So I'm saying 4 plus, depending on the temperature and the thickness that you've just poured. And for resilient floors, which is basically vinyl plank or tiles, it takes 16 to 24 hours before you can start laying your product. This is all you really need to know, except the compression strength, which is 4,150 psi after 28 days, which is basically as strong as a concrete drive or walkway. So back to the mixing. I'm using 12 quarts of cold, clean water to 2 bags of self-leveler. You've got to mix this stuff to a lump-free consistency. So now we're on the fun part. This is the other side of the house, but it allows you to get a good look at what I'm doing. So just pour a good bit out on the floor. and start troweling it really slowly, finesse it, help it on its way to the edges, but do it slowly and do it with control. If you do it too fast, it's going to go up the walls, and that's not what you want. So once you've covered your area evenly, get your roller and just roll it once or twice over each section. Do like a line at a time and then move on. Don't overplay with this. Just do 1 or 2 long rolls just to get the trail marks out. So just lightly roll. You don't need to put a lot of weight on this. It really is just let the roller's weight of the head just move it up and down. If you put any weight on it, chances are the roller's going to skid and you're going to end up with a big hole in your self-leveling. But what I'm doing here is I'm putting 3 little pulls down, and it just makes your life that little bit easier than to just do one big pull and try and move that around. It's just, see my little Mickey Mouse is. So anyway, just keep moving the trowel. You see that I'm using the top of the end, like the top of the trowel, and I'm pushing it into the baseboards and really lightly just moving that liquid. You see when I move that trowel, how I don't actually put the tip of the trowel against the baseboard. I kind of leave it short, about an inch, as I'm pushing the liquid, and I'm letting the flow of the liquid run into the baseboards. But this really is like a light movement. All you're doing is you're just helping that liquid on its way. I'm not actually touching the tiles itself. I'm sort of floating on top with the trowel on top of that liquid. But you can see, you know, the floor already looks pretty good. It's nice and smooth. There's no lumps in that mix at all. And that's what you really want to aim for. You know, mixing, always go, this is my opinion, you don't have to listen to me, but always go with the higher end of the water. So if it says 5.75 to 6, go with the 6, because it will go off faster if you go for the 5.75, and it'll be harder to work with. You won't get that flow, and you'll be sorry, I promise you. I've done it before. So here I've just sort of put out a bit more product on the floor. In areas where there's no walls, you know, like you don't have to push up against the wall, you can put more out. I mean, in a large room or whatever, I would probably throw half a bucket down, trowel it out, roll it. Because I always work on my own. The hardest part has always been the mixing. If there's 2 of you, then there's absolutely no problem. 1 person to mix, 1 person to trowel and roll, absolutely no problem. Always keeping a wet edge. I'm going to roll it in a minute. This part here, I've got about a good 6 foot there, so I'm going to roll this out. Don't go fast with the roller, because it will kick up and you'll get all the splashes on the paintwork. You know, you don't want to start cleaning that all off. It's not the first time I've used Mapei. I used to use them back in England occasionally, but they've come a long way since that, and that's like 10 years ago. The product's actually really good. I've always used Ardex because they are just a superior product. But my main product that I would use back in England was F-Ball. For value for money, flow rate, the quality, everything about F-Ball was awesome. But this is a good product now. It goes down good, it flows well, dries fast. I didn't use the stuff that you get out of Lowe's. It's the cheaper version of this. This is a higher compression strength. This goes off faster. It also has workable time, which is like another 5-10 minutes longer. Believe me, you really do want that. And I'm going to show you all my floors that I've done. I've done about 800 square foot of this, and I'm going to show you what they look like so you can judge for yourself. So the self-leveling's been down about 4 hours, maybe 5, and it's definitely walkable. Wouldn't drag any furniture. Everything's nice and flat and smooth, lump free. So these are the finished floors. It's all Eco. Went down okay. Looks pretty good. Wife's happy. I've done the lounge on the 45 with a border around it, and everything else is pretty much just a straight plank lay. If you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.